What's up guys, I'm Stuart from GGF and we're here at LTX 2023 now. I want to give a huge shout out to ASUS. They sponsored my trip out here. I did a live stream on this today if you check that out. But what I want to do here in this video is cover the few different custom builds we have on display here. So we do have my ProArt one, which you guys have probably seen. We have this sick EVA 2.0. So this is the whole new EVA lineup. They had the original, I think it might have been about last year. That was the purple and green. Now we have the EVA 2 and it's in this sick red and orange theme. Then we also have a TUF build behind me. And then I will probably end the video taking a look at the new 4090 Matrix because I know you guys all want to have a look at that GPU. So if you saw the live stream, you've probably already seen this build. It's a little bit something different than what I do. Of course, doing a live stream, I'm really not going to do a custom loop, cut some tubing and all that. And being the EVA lineup, you can really see that the stock GPU now has the whole same theme going to it. I might take this side panel off just to make it easier. But yeah, of course, you're not going to get a full ecosystem kit like this and block the GPU because you're going to lose that whole aesthetic. Now, if you follow the anime series of EVA, which I don't, unfortunately, I can't really tell you much about it, but this is the design language on this new theme. If we come around a little bit to the front, we can see it's got this whole red and orange, and then there's a bit of green, and we also have some white mixed into it as well. The chassis is a standard Hyperion. Of course, it is customized red. It's exactly the same as the original one, and no other physical parts have been changed, just the coloring of the chassis. And the full lineup of the ecosystem is, of course, the 4090 GPU. The motherboard in this system is the Z790 Hero, so it is a fully customized Hero. Same specs as the original one. I do have some B-roll to put on that. And then we do have the all-in-one cooler as well. I will get the model of that one, and that is the Ryzen 3. So that is the new one that's come out. That has those sick magnetic fans. We talked about those on the live stream. They work really well. And did sort of lie a little bit when I said the case isn't changed in any way. The actual light up panel inside this chassis has now been changed. In the standard Hyperion, it had like the ROG colorway that lit up. Now it's changed to the EVA 2 colorway, and you can change this to any color you want. But of course, being this type of theme, being this design, we're going to want definitely red and orange aesthetics. And then we have this sick little GPU anti-sag stand. I've never seen this before, but it does work really well. You got some fine-tuning knob over here, and then you can put it up and down via this button here. And of course, there is the keyboard and mouse as well. And then we have the PSU, which is a little bit hard to see. It is a standard Thor P2, but it does have some EVA coloring on it as well, which is going to be hard to see inside the case. But once again, I will throw some B-roll onto that one as well. Alrighty guys, now we are over here looking at this custom and TUF Gaming PC. Now this is done by Jonathan. If you're in this industry, you probably know who he is. He's from BrainTech PC. So he's done a very, very different design to what we're used to seeing. I believe this is some sort of hydro dip. He's not here at the moment, so I can't ask him. But what he's done, he's completely dipped the whole chassis, the front, the back side panel, all the bottom, and I've got some shots of inside, so we don't really need to come up too close, but even the GPU has been done. The all-in-one cooler has been done as well. So that just all blends in really, really nice. And he's got this custom camo theme. I think this theme he's done, I think that's just something, a pattern he's found, because I don't think that is part of the TUF. Well, I haven't seen this design in part of the TUF gaming before, so this could be something that he's just come up with, and I think it works really well with the design language of the TUF Gaming setup. And this system is running a 13600K. It is running a 4070 Ti, and then the TUF Gaming GT502 case, and then the motherboard is it doesn't have the motherboard. Yes, it does. It's the B760 Plus Wi-Fi, so all the TUF ecosystem in there, and that just works really well. Alrighty guys, now I want to cover the build that I did for LTX 2023. Now this of course is following the ProArt theme. Now if you follow my channels, you probably have seen this one. A lot of people have really been intrigued with this build. It's something a little bit different. I don't normally do builds where I do a custom loop and then I go with air-cooled GPUs. And I'm really thankful that ASUS sent me 2 of these new ProArt 4080 GPUs for this build, because having just the one, it would have looked a little bit empty. And for 2, I wanted to show that obviously for gaming, 2 GPUs, it's not possible these days. There might be some hacks out there, but nobody uses 2 video cards for gaming. But I wanted to show that there are some different ways to run 2 GPUs. If you're familiar with Computex, there were some booths there showing like 4 There was a booth that had 4 Strix 4090s. they were running all together, and there were programs that were utilizing all 4 GPUs. Things like science research in the medical field, AI, and all that can utilize both GPUs. So I have a benchmark here, Octane benchmark. I can run this. And then if I come around here, I've got some B-roll of this, so we don't need to come up too close. I've got the shots here of each GPU running at max, and they're running at about max wattage for those, and then just runs through for about 10 minutes and does this thing. So you can clearly see that 2 GPUs can be utilized in the system. Now, another thing I really want to cover that a lot of people are like, geez, I can feel that heat coming off there. But another thing I want to talk about is this awesome CPU block. Now, this is called stealth tubing. As you can see, there is no tubing coming off the CPU block. So this is done by Modding Cafe. So it is based in Vietnam. The way he has done this, he has the 2 ins and the 2 outs that come through the 4 mounting points on the motherboard. So on an AMD motherboard, on an Intel motherboard, you have 4 holes, 1 in each corner. So he has passed the coolant through poles that go through that. There are rubber seals, and then that's how the coolant goes in and then back out. And the flow restriction isn't really that bad. At first, I thought, oh, this is probably going to be an issue, but this flow meter is absolutely flying. On film, because of how it's recorded with the frames, the flow meter might look like it's not moving, or it might look like it's oscillating backwards and forwards. But that's just messing with your eyes. This flow meter is absolutely flying. But yeah, there is a video from the Bauer who has done more on this block, so check it out. You can see how it mounts behind, because there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes on this block, especially behind the motherboard, because that's where you have the in and the out for the loop that's connected to this block. And temps on this system have been really good as well. You might be wondering what this chassis is or who makes this chassis. This is from Urel Beast Designs. This is the Lithium E. So he is actually here at LTX, so it's really good to see more of these smaller case companies coming out and showing off their creations. So this case, the only thing I did customize wise for this case is I got the middle section powder coated. It was really nice stainless steel. It looked really good. It was just raw, very nice and shiny. I got it powder coated to match the ProArt theme. Some people say it's gold. I say it's like a bronzy, brassy color. It's up to you guys to say what it is, but I think it matches the ProArt aesthetic really well. Some other items, we have this new Bits Power. So I would call these, they're sort of flat, I don't want to say FLT reservoirs, but they're kind of their new distro reservoirs. The good things with these units is, I did take some photos on these. They can be a standalone reservoir like this, or they give you a sort of an add-on plate that you can run and attach on the front of it, and that'll turn it into a distro. So that plate has an O-ring, and then it's got a bunch of holes. So you can turn this into a distro that'll have 2 to go to your GPU and then 2 to go to your CPU. So you can turn this reservoir into a full functioning distro. But I think that's pretty much it on this build. Some other things with this build, I added a screen behind those 8 pass-throughs there. So this case is really decked out for water cooling. There are a lot of standard pass-through holes. There's some on the side, some on the back, and there's this 8 down the bottom here. So I thought, let's throw a screen behind it. And now I've got a lot of temperatures and some stats about this system. So that looked really cool. And then down the bottom here, there are a lot of slits. So instead of just leaving that bare where you can kind of see inside, I made up a small little light box, put a bunch of RGB strips in there, and that's just slowly just waving through with like an orangey yellow color, just emitting through, and that looks really good. And these kind of things you have to have, like if you just put RGB strips behind underneath that, you would see each individual LED. So making a light box really does diffuse the lighting for that. So that turned out really good. But anyway, I think that's it on that build. Let's go and check out the 4090 Matrix. Right, now last up, I did want to take a look at the 4090 Matrix. Now this thing is a beast. I'm going to try and do this one-handed to get this in shot. I'll throw some B-roll up, but this aesthetic on this is just amazing. Very, very stealthy. This would look so good in a 0 RGB build. Having this as your centerpiece, vertically mounted. I have been told there is some RGB illumination. It does run around, so it doesn't run in the center. It's hidden out of the way, and it just sort of glows from behind. That looks really nice. Some of you guys might be wondering, are these ports detachable? No, these are fixed, so you can't run this in a custom loop. They've done this for a few reasons. One is they wanted this card to just be as a whole, as is, and they didn't want people to be running this in custom loops, because the main thing is going to be using aftermarket coolants, things like that. If things start happening to this block that being removable, people having more functionality to pull things apart, things like that. It just means they're going to have a whole nother division for warranties just to manage this. So they decided to leave it as is, make it completely sealed. That's going to stop the end user from sort of pulling it apart and adding it into a custom loop. Now we may see something in the future that could be like a Poseidon. If you're familiar with that card, that one had a custom loop, but it also had air cooling support. So that'll be sweet to see that to come back in the market, but I really do like this aesthetic. And this tubing on this Matrix is absolutely monster. So down below we have a standard all-in-one cooler, and the tubing is super, super thin. Not saying that's a bad thing. All-in-one coolers with standard tubing works fine. So they've really beefed up this cooling, the tubing size for the extra cooling capacity. And taking a look at this radiator, this is the beast. So I would say this is probably 40 to 45 millimeters thick on this radiator. So if you do pick up this card, if you do, because it's going to be ultra rare, very limited, make sure your case has enough room, because these fans are I would say these fans are 25. I would say this radiator is about 45. So what's that, about 70 millimeters of clearance you need either at the top of your case or at the front of your case. And you have to remember that this is a 360 for your GPU. If you already have a 360 on your CPU, you're going to need a case that has a 360 at the top or 360 at the side and then at the front. So you're going to need at least two 360s for this all-in-one cooler to run this GPU. In terms of some specs, I won't go into too much of that, but in terms of clocks, the ASUS guys are saying they've had some people testing. I know there's been an overclocker already. Splave has been doing some records on this, but running just the stock fans on this, running it air-cooled. When I say air-cooled, like it's not really air-cooled, but running it with the stock fans through this radiator, they've seen clocks of up to over 3,000 megahertz. They've hit 3,100, which is pretty amazing. When you think about the already massive Strix, the air-cooled Strix would probably be double the size of this card. That card tops out about 2,800 megahertz. So to get the extra 300 on this just goes to show the extra performance on this card. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm not sure if I'll be getting one to do a build. It would be hard to try and tie this into a custom loop. Like I may be able to somehow dismantle it, because this would look really good in a custom loop, but that might not be the direction ASUS want me to go, whereas I get this card, fully dismantle it, turn it into a custom loop, something it's not really designed for. But I could probably do something with the sleeving, try and make it look a little bit different and theme it into a really good build. But anyway, that's probably it from the ASUS booth. I want to shout out for ASUS for sending me out. I want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.